Jones Radio Company presents Stanley Jones. That's right, it's not about us, it's about India. And we're encouraging you to support young men and women who will carry the message of Stanley Jones to the people of India. And today, we talk about, the little book on growing up that Stanley Jones wrote many years ago is still timely wisdom for today. Let's find out more about that.
Greetings once again, ladies and gentlemen, friends of the Stanley Jones Radio School. What we call it is the Radio School for Fully Alive Living. And it's our dear desire that Stanley Jones, a man of incredible wisdom, spirit, strength, truth, truly one of the great evangelists and missionaries of all time, and even an influence on me. I may be named after him, but I certainly have read and learned a great deal from him. But there are thousands of people, millions of people all around the world whose lives he has touched. My friend Anne made a wonderful suggestion, and is good, to actually go into Amazon and to see the books that the foundation has now redone and republished and put them up on for sale at a reasonable price. Please restock your library, buy your gifts for people from Amazon, and it goes to the Stanley Jones Foundation. But what she said is, go and read the reviews of the book. And she said, that's very, very interesting to see how this particular book has really affected the lives of people. And so that's certainly what we want to do. I went back and then looked at some of my books. Now, I have a number of these. Now, many of you probably, okay, here's my camera. The little red books that were done. Many of them began, I think, during the Second World War, and they were small to conserve paper, and that continued in the 50s because they turned out to be so very, very handy and convenient, kind of like the original idea of a pocket book, and you could certainly carry it in your pocket. This is Stanley Jones. He's Stanley Jones, Christian Maturity. Now, because of that, I bought a number of them used. And one of the things I love sometimes, and it's a little bit guilty for the poor author, is many times I like to buy a book used, particularly if it's been described that it's, well, be careful because this book has been highlighted or noted or written in, and then they reduce the price. But I'm not worried about the price that much, but I love to see how the book has affected other people. What did they highlight? What did they underline? What kind of notes did they make? And oftentimes I have found it is incredible not only to see what Stanley Jones had said, but then from a past reader, a person I obviously don't know, how the book and the truth had affected them. So I went and picked up one of my favorite ones, Christian Maturity. And here's how it began. Now think about this, written many, many years ago. As a first-hand observer of individual and collective problems and possibilities in both East and West over a long period of years, if I were called upon to put my finger on the most pressing need of our age, I would unhesitantly say one thing: maturity. We are very immature people attempting to handle very mature problems. Our problems are outnumbering our capacity to handle them, and none of them, of the people involved, are in possession of the very nature of power. The power of the atom has been suddenly dumped into our lap. And now what do? I recall somebody who was a contemporary of Stanley Jones at about that time, a man named Walter Lippmann, who said that he wrote a book, and his comment was, he said, all of us grow older, but not all of us. And sometimes very few of us actually grow up. Well, again, there is more wisdom in one small book than there are in many, many books that are written today. Incredible. And of course, a number of them. And Stanley Jones was a real entrepreneur, which I very much appreciate. Certainly people donated, but he was the contributor to his own ministry for the most part because he wrote so well and published so many wonderful books, is that the revenue and the reward from the publication of the books was used very much to fund his ministry, but also the ministry of many others. I just kind of sit back in awe and wonder sometimes. Well, that's also why I said, let's study him. Let's read about him. Let's talk to people who knew him. And we're trying to do that right now. Talk to people like Roberto Escamilla and some of the people who actually were mentored by him as young men and women. And no, well, how did he do that? What did he do as not only an older man, but a mentor to you when you were young? And part of the reason is because right now, as many of you know, I would like to say that our campaign is to try and raise revenue, to raise the means, the resources to help equip and teach young men and women of Indian descent. Many will live in India. Many may come from the widespread diaspora of Indian people around the world, but they will be the ones who will do this program. You see, we have the books, and we have new editions of the books, thanks to Ann Matthews Eunice and the foundation. But now we want to have the written word once again become the living word, the spoken word. And with the new technology, we can do much of that, but it always has to come down to the fact that it is a man or a woman, a human being, whose life has been transformed by the message and the mission of Stanley Jones, who then take much of his wisdom and his insight and his truth, give it certainly a modern touch to make it a little bit more relevant or appealing or timely to the people. And they do the podcast. They do it in English, Indian English, Hindi, some of the national languages of India. We want to equip them. Most of us, people who are probably even listening to this podcast, we're not going to be here very long. That's just the way it is. And we would like very much that part of our legacy would be is that we help to fund and support young men and women sharing Jesus with India. And the need is every bit as much as when Stanley Jones was involved there too, maybe even more so. So please support us in this effort by your prayers, your thoughts, your recommendations. We would be grateful for your giving, which would go to a 501c3, so it is fully tax deductible in that sense. But we will be working. We already have some young men and women who are possibilities, but there are many more we would like to find who will be the ones who tell the story of Stanley Jones in the modern day, using the modern media to witness to the many millions and millions and many millions of people of Indian descent, both in the country and around the world. Please reach out to me at stan@witradio.net, stan@witradio.net. And you can also see that there is a way on some of our things that we send out where you could click the link and make a gift to the Christian Entrepreneur Network, which is sponsoring this effort. Or make your gift to the Stanley Jones Foundation, the Stanley Jones Foundation. Please do that. We would be grateful. So thank you very much. We'll be in touch. Hopefully you will be a part of creating living encores of Stanley Jones. All the best and blessings to us all. We are in challenging times. Right now, where I live, we're also in very cold times. But please take care of one another. Be safe, be loving, be a living testimony. As Stanley Jones would say, each and every one of you are a little bit of the gospel, the good news of Jesus. Do it well. All the best. Till next time. Bye for now.